right, good afternoon. It is September 4th, 2016, and you're listening to the Games and Such podcast, but today is something a bit different. We're going to do our retrospective, I guess, or a look back on one of our favorite shows created right here in Canada, Reboot. So we decided to call it Good Morning Mainframe.
Good morning, Mainframe.
Good job.
Good job indeed. Anyway, my name is Geoff, as you may know from the Games and Such, and today I am joined by...
Hey guys, I'm JR Vaders. While I do not hate Reboot, it was one of those shows I couldn't really get into when I was younger. So I figured I'd join in on his podcast as a different opinion or different take on what everyone else has, considering that everyone else here around me were fans of the show growing up.
JR's going to be our counterpoint, I guess, to all our positivity.
The cynical take on things.
Yeah. Cynical, yeah.
Trying to ruin our happiness.
And next to JR is...
I'm Blake Comden. I'm pretty much the opposite. I eat, breathe, sleep, drink, Reboot most of my life. I absolutely adore the show. Came out when I was 7 years old, and I've loved it ever since.
So Blake's going to be the other end of the spectrum. And next to Blake, well, Blake's returning because he wasn't in our first couple episodes.
Yes, the first appearance.
First appearance of Blake.
First appearance.
And next to Blake is...
It's me, Howard.
Howard's back.
Back again.
And Jeremy is next to him.
I'm also here, yes.
That was Jeremy.
We're all thankful.
Yes.
So, well, I guess we'll just talk about the show before we dive into the very first episode. Memories of the show. What do you guys think of it? I know Jer is obviously the oldest of us. See, he was
Most jaded.
the
Most negative.
Comes with age.
most angry at the time of...
And most angsty.
Angsty is the word.
He was coming into puberty, you know.
Wow.
Tender age of 12 or 13.
There's
Yeah,
the bus. Jay.
that's it.
We'll
That's
just
it.
toss you under the bus. There you go.
What was your memories of it, Jay?
Well, when I first seen it, it did catch my attention. I mean, I don't think there was that many shows around at the time that was fully done in 3D animation. And while I'm not the kind of person to judge a show by its appearance, all that kind of stuff, I couldn't really get behind the animation at the time. I thought it was just too odd for me. Although, looking back on it, it's, you know, it is pretty good for its age.
It definitely stood a test of time.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing that jumped out at me is like there was a lot of cool characters in it. Like I do find Bob pretty cool. Megabyte's pretty cool. I even like Fong, but oh my god, I just couldn't stand Enzo. I think
Yeah.
back then watching it, the few episodes here and there, it was really Enzo that killed it for me. So
Well, being a teen watching that, he was a kid, right?
yeah,
So we were kids watching a kid. You know what I mean? If you were 7 or 8 years old watching it,
definitely.
you could relate to Enzo
That's
where
us.
you were already...
Yeah.
Show.
I mean, there's far worse characters out there in other shows. Just at the time, I was like, you know, why watch that when I can just watch something else?
Well, like,
Now that I
something
think about
cooler.
it, I don't even know what else was even
back
around
in
at the
the
time.
mid-90s, I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
Biker mice from Mars.
well, yeah.
Street Sharks.
It's like, yeah, here we're here with amazing shows. Blake, obviously, really likes the show.
Yeah, what can I say, really? I was 7, like I said, when it came out. The first of its kind, really. The first half-hour fully computer animated show. Never seen before. First episode debuted September 10th, 1994. That wasn't yesterday.
No. 22 years in the making.
But, I mean, I watched it every chance I got. Didn't matter if it was a rerun or not. It had a certain charm to it. It had a uniqueness to it that
Well, yeah.
this has made me feel good to watch it. I had the toys
I think I had some toys. Did you?
from Riffs.
Riffs, yeah.
Good old Riffs.
Hey man, that was the go-to place for a while.
Yep.
To get any kind of good toy.
Christmas shopping.
There you
at its
go.
finest, really. I had the hack toy that could open up into like a little kind of mansion. Like you got
Was it like the Polly Pocket kind of
yeah,
Like
Polly
Money
Pocket,
Max?
Money
Money
Max,
Max.
Polly Pocket kind of toy. I think they were the thing back then.
Yeah.
Those toys were so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were those with Reboot.
Yeah. At the height of its popularity, they had tons of toys. They had, you know, the full-fledged action figures with the zip boards. They had, like I said, the Polly Pocket-esque types, and they came with little tiny figures, little bobs, little dots, Enzo, and I think Megabyte came with it. You could get Hack or Slash. I think that was the only two you could get. But I got that one Christmas, and that's all I played with that Christmas. I remember that vividly, and I think I would say it came out the same year that the show came out back in 94.
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s for sure. Yeah, that's my fondest memory of the show, I would say.
Howard?
Well, like everybody else, I had a few of the action figures. Most prominently, I remember having three main protagonists, Bob, Dot, and Enzo. I remember when I got them for Christmas, whichever year I did, I forced my sister to be Dot and I would be Bob, and
Role play.
Did you have the Enzo action figure or the Matrix action
it
figure?
was the Enzo action figure.
Okay.
They released
Poor thing.
Matrix?
I think they eventually did.
They
Must
did.
have.
They had to.
It actually looks amazing, the action figure for Matrix.
Yeah. And last but not least, Jeremy.
All I remember is growing up watching the show all the time on YTV. I never had any of the toys or anything like that, but I always just watched the show religiously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I watched it watching it. I guess. Well, they did sign a deal with ABC originally, so I'm guessing I probably watched it there.
I remember watching Saturday mornings.
Channel 9 or 10, maybe.
Channel 10 was ABC,
ABC?
for me.
Yeah.
ABC for me. Saturday mornings. I think the same time. I'm trying to think if Recess was on at the time.
Could have been. I do remember watching it on Saturday afternoon,
Yeah.
but I think when I watched it steadily was when it was on YTV around like 6:37.
Yeah.
It used to come on in the evenings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they started getting continuity in the show and had a new episode every night that followed the previous one, I think they started doing it in season 3. That's when I definitely watched the most of it. And those were the best episodes.
I didn't even know it was on ABC. I was watching it on my TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's news.
I'm going to guess, maybe it must have been a year after, maybe they signed a deal with.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked.
It definitely didn't come on YTV when it came on ABC.
Yeah.
Right? It was like a year or so later when it started
That's possible.
playing on.
I'll take your word for that one.
Yeah, well, today we just finished watching The Tearing, which is the pilot episode. Surprisingly enough, it's not called pilot, like most
For
TV
once,
shows.
Yeah.
They were that confident.
Yeah.
They were right to be.
So right off the bat, what do you guys think of the show, or what do you think of the episode as a whole? Considering it came.
And watching it now, we're picking up on stuff, a lot of stuff. That
Oh,
we just glanced over
guaranteed.
as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, we were, I guess, 7 or 8 years old when it came on, and now we're in our late 20s, early 30s.
So many computer jokes
Yeah, it's just
that I still don't get them.
It's funny how the computer jokes are like they weren't old-fashioned computer jokes. Like they still talked about a lot of stuff we talk about today, right?
Yes.
If he wasn't talking about, well, I guess they do mention floppy disks and whatnot back then.
Probably.
But they do. They were kind of future-proofing it because they did talk about like computer disks long before they were a popular thing,
And most of the jokes weren't out of place. Like they felt like they were just a natural part of.
yeah, they
The show, for
they
the most
definitely
part.
weren't forced.
No, they were very clever in the execution and all that kind of stuff. Like one of you guys pointed out that during the part where they showed them rioting on the screen, what did one of the signs say?
Smash the solid state.
Smash the solid state. Yeah.
Smash the solid state.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
So it was a great play on words there while using computer terms, right?
Yeah, and as a kid,
It's genius.
never
right?
understood that at all. Right?
Yeah.
Just
Like when they come up with jokes, I can understand. It's like, ho ho, they use computer words to make the jokes, ha ha ha, which is all fun and dandy. But then when they use other ones more intricately, like smash the solid state,
yeah.
once again, genius. And I'm pretty sure I've not
We
picked
catch
up
on
on
to
that
that
when I was
now.
younger.
The fact that 22 years later, that we still watch it and that we can pick up on these now and still laugh at them, I think speaks to the the timelessness of the show.
We're only 6 days away from exactly 22 years
Wow.
since it was released. We almost pinpointed it.
So this is the 22 anniversary
22,
podcast
yeah,
in celebration.
22-year anniversary podcast. So we start the episode with Hack and Slash are chasing Bob. So right off the bat, we're introduced to what we assume are villains, Hack and Slash.
Yeah.
We don't know their names.
No.
Off the bat, we know their names, obviously.
Can we talk about the theme of the show real quick?
Okay, the intro. Yes,
The
we'll do the intro.
That gets you pumped. Gets me pumped.
Great orchestrated
Yes.
theme. Bob talks over it, so right off the bat, you get to hear a voice you're going to hear for many episodes to come. I don't have exactly what he says, but you can probably name it. You can probably say it off the top of your head.
Near the end, where he says, "The user
Inputs games
for pleasure. No one knows for sure why, but I intend to find out." And he never finds out. That always got to me.
Spoilers.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
he's asking why the
He wants to find out
he wants to know why a user puts a game into the system.
for pleasure. No one knows for sure why.
Well, obviously we know it's for pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
People
what
are playing games on a computer.
I'm trying to think about the
He
exact
intends to find out, and he never does.
No.
That's
It wasn't
I never
really
knew that.
a
Like, really?
well
You
throughout
shitting me?
even throughout the earlier episodes. That's not really a theme of. That's not a thing he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's,
No.
It's mostly fighting Megabyte.
speaking of which. Yeah, like the beginning of the episode, we have no context, right?
Oh,
We start the show with
We're thrown in there.
we're thrown right in with Bob being chased by two enemies.
no backstory.
We can assume Bob is the good guy. We don't even know his name is Bob.
He's talking to the camera, therefore he's probably the good guy.
Yeah,
Is it the only time he talks to the audience? Like
Does it a
that?
few times.
I'm thinking.
It's off and on.
I know they do that on and off throughout the whole series, but I think the first season's when they do it the most, and then they slowly get away from that. Bob's trapped in between hack and slash, and obviously hack and slash come together, and we get to see something we get to see a lot of in this series is hack and slash falling to pieces, which is like a running joke
Yep.
throughout the whole series.
Your typical cronies.
Yeah. They're voice actors. I'm not sure who they're doing, but they were spot on to be two like numbskull bad guys. Just like maybe they might have took from like the Power Rangers.
How to go
Those two,
Skull.
Bulk and Skull, who were just numbskulls. I guess that was around the same time.
If not, pretty
It's still
close.
90s,
Could have been
yeah.
inspired.
Could have been.
Could have been
Definitely a Power Rangers show of some sort around that time.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Could have been a thing of its time. The numbskull duo.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a very 90s thing.
Yeah.
So then we meet Megabyte, who comes up in a pop-up window, and right off the bat we can tell the way he talks. We can tell right off the bat he's a
his
bad
voice.
guy.
That voice.
His voice is butter to the ears. He asks Bob's for a favor.
Melts my butter.
Bob says no. Or Bob brushes him off. Megabyte mentions that he might have some sinister plan for Bob's friends if he does not cooperate. So then we go back to the diner, and we find out that the place was trashed. But we can only assume Megabyte.
There's only two.
For being
villains.
such a big villain, he targets such little places like a diner.
Yeah, and it's funny how it's not like twice in this episode they trashed the diner, but yet we don't see it. Right? Like it's
Going
just
off screen.
it's just off screen trashing, and then you know Enzo tells a stupid story, right?
I mean, they have a budget here. Come on.
Yeah, they can't show it all.
Yeah.
We get back to the diner. We get to meet Dot and Enzo. So Dot, we can assume, or assume right off the bat. I think when I originally watched it, I kind of figured that Dot and Enzo were related.
I'm not sure if they talk about it right away.
No, they don't talk about it right away, and maybe as a kid I probably never noticed, but when I watched it again, you could definitely see they're obviously the same color eyes, same color skin. You know what I mean? Like they're.
Well, they must have said something to say
Oh, yeah, I know what
to
you're
indicate
saying,
that
yeah.
they're siblings because
They eventually do. But
Yeah, I know
did,
they do.
yes, yeah.
Off the bat, we just like
I guess not right away.
Hack and Slash came by the diner and started trashing the place, apparently. Bob tells Dot that Megabyte asked him for a favor, but Dot insists that Bob refuse Megabyte's favor. Another window opens up displaying Megabyte. He asks if he can help with the cleanup, and then reminds Bob of his ultimatum. So at that moment, that's when the game comes in. The first game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the first
Yeah,
game
yeah.
comes in. Yes, because Bob.
Also played off screen. we don't see.
Yeah.
the actual
Okay.
game,
Yeah. So
but-
Bob wants to get into the game. He can't because of Megabyte's trying to stop him. So then Bob decides he's going to go ask Fong. So another character is introduced. We get introduced to a lot of characters right off the hop. Fong, who is what would you consider Fong to be?
The Yoda of
Yeah,
Reboot?
that is
Yeah.
probably the best way of putting it.
He has a
Sensei.
Chinese oriented or Japanese?
there's the yin and yang
Yin.
symbol, which
Yeah.
is Chinese.
It is.
I think it's
Yeah.
Parentheses? Chinese?
Chinese question mark?
Yep.
And he obviously has the accent
Yes.
of
Yeah, and he's got the beard. A little,
Yeah.
Kind of like a
yeah,
Chinese,
okay.
Yeah, definitely Chinese.
And they're playing a game of Pong, which
Pong.
obviously I guess was a very popular game on a computer back in the day. It was like the first video game ever made. Sure.
Arguably, yes.
Arguably, yeah. So, in order to get Fang's voice, he must beat him in a game of Pong. He does so
Easily.
easily. He
Favorite
asks
game.
Fang for advice on how to deal with Megabyte harassing him about doing him a favor, in which Fang tells him about a read-only file that says keep your enemies close.
An old reading.
Old readme file. Keep your enemies close. Or keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Which was taken directly from a The Art of War novel? What was that from?
I'm not sure, but I don't think that actually happens in the episode. Where, because I think what it means is use your enemies to help you defeat your enemies. I think that's kind of the gist of what
Yeah.
they're saying.
It says here on the wiki, a paraphrase from an ancient Chinese book of war
Chinese?
tactics. So
Yeah.
right at the bat.
Yeah.
Called The Art of War.
Why,
Oh,
Sun Tzu?
Yeah.
Sun Tzu, yeah. You got her. So, Fang tells him not to deal with Megabyte. And Bob says, you're correct. But he decides to go to Megabyte anyway.
Kind of following Fang's advice of keeping his enemies closer.
Yes. So, yeah. Fang indirectly tells him what to do.
Good job, Fong.
So then Bob goes to see Megabyte. And Megabyte... Well, yeah, he plays on that he wants to help Megabyte with whatever favor he has. And that's where we get introduced to the tear. Or anything leading up to that. Anything you guys noticed?
I had no idea what a tear was.
Didn't know what that was. Leading up, you could see that he had a bunch of like tanks and stuff in the background.
His arsenal, I guess.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, Megabyte's eyes changed to black.
Yes, we just
Yeah.
noticed that. His eyes changed to black, so I wasn't sure if it was based on the glare of the tear.
I think that's what it was.
It could be that, but you know how sometimes when you watch some sci-fi movies, like the robot or some other thing, syncs with something, his eyes start to change color and like that. I just assumed that's what it was. He was just tuning into something to open up the tear. Maybe so, maybe not.
That'd be good something too.
Well,
Yeah,
open
'cause
up the door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it kind of went with his. Yeah, as his eyes movement, you see the door start opening.
Yeah,
That
it was
could-
pretty cool, but it was hard to say if it was
Yeah.
significant or not, because like as Jeremy pointed out, as soon as they go over to the next screen, he's back to green eyes
Yeah,
again.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it was like a trope of its time kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he asked Bob to take care of the tear. So apparently, only Guardians and games can contain a tear.
Yeah.
Will we see a game later?
Or a person who beats the game can contain a tear? Or
Well,
is the
just
game itself?
if the tear is in the game,
Okay.
it gets contained and opens a portal to the quote unquote supercomputer. So I guess we can only assume that's a reference to like the World Wide Web. Is that what they're meaning?
I think it's just a bigger, more
It could be like
powerful
Like-
computer.
Entrance to the internet, or is it just a?
they're like talking like a system of computers, and like you have your like main computer
Yeah.
that's
'cause I,
hooked up to like a bunch of other.
Oh, okay.
terminals.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
believe I can't even remember. When does it go to like Matrix and stuff? What season's that?
Matrix
Season 3?
Season 3 is
Yeah.
about halfway through season 3, maybe.
Yeah, because that's when they actually have the web introduced and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Right?
the web.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's what.
True, yeah.
I think the web. Yeah, later on, that's the internet, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And it's deemed a dangerous place.
Hmm.
And when you think about it, they kind of predicted that.
Man.
It is a
Yeah.
it is a dangerous place.
He refuses to help Megabyte. Megabyte tries to force him into the tier, so Bob has to contain it, and then he hauls him back out. But then Bob decontains it, or I don't even know the right proper word.
Destabilize.
Destabilizes
Yeah,
it.
Converts into a portal.
Yeah, and then turns it back into a tear. And then Dot shows up. She was kidnapped by, or not kidnapped, but she tried to break in and got caught by Hack and Slash.
She allows herself.
Allows herself to be
Yes.
caught. She says,
'cause he
her,
Causing
staged a
riot.
protest out by the
yes,
door.
according to Hack and Slash, she staged a riot.
Or
A ruckus?
A ruckus.
A ruckus.
3 people.
Yes, so Megabyte turns on the screen to see, and there's just 3 people holding signs, one of which reads, "Smash the solid state."
Yeah.
So Dot saves Bob. Won't be the first time.
Nope. As they're leaving, Megabyte tries to get Bob back, and fails, and then he climbs the side of the elevator. They take an elevator up away from Megabyte. He climbs like a savage.
On all fours, no less.
Yeah, making like tiger noise or lion noises.
Yeah.
There.
Oh yeah, he's like
a
a
beast.
like a wild animal.
So he catches up to Dot and Bob, and then a new game appears, and we get to
Convenient.
actually go into the game for the first time, which is like, I guess the what am I looking for? A main plot point of every episode is always in the game, right? That's
Now,
how-
someone made up a good point today. Is like, why is it that every time a game appears in the thing, it messes up the mainframe or
Well,
the computer itself?
yeah, so we just asked, well, what could it be though?
I don't
We
know.
have no idea.
Because playing a game on a computer shouldn't mess up your computer.
It wouldn't crash your system
But
unless
that's
you're.
what Blake said. You played one of
computer-
those CD video games that come from cereal boxes.
Happened to me.
Tony the Tiger.
Frosted Flakes, Cheerios.
And we're also given a reason of why we want to go into the games, because at first they show us the game
Yep,
where they lose, and the sector that was
there's places destroyed.
just completely demolished.
One thing, yeah, and everyone who's in the game that loses gets nullified, which I would think is a nicer way of saying killed.
Killed.
But
Fainted.
it also, not only that's kid friendly, but it also makes sense for the environment.
Yeah, so-
the fact that
Right,
they're in
yeah.
a computer.
Yeah.
They're protecting they're protecting the computer. These are things inside the computer protecting the computer from people playing games. And when they play the games, the people that go in to protect it get destroyed if the user wins.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in any old video game, all your enemies are destroyed as you're
Trying to defeat you.
trying to defeat you as you play the game. So it's hard to say exactly what they're trying to put across as the person's playing a game, because we know Bob and Dot and Enzo to be good guys, but yet they're facing
They're
we're
the enemy AI.
yeah, they're
Video
enemy
game.
AI of the user.
It's a nice twist.
But I mean that's going way too deep, I guess.
Philosophical.
I mean, look at it and you think, well, it's not always a one-directional plot. There's, you got your viruses.
Yeah.
You also have your games.
Yeah.
You also have other characters come on later on that are villains. It's not always Megabytes up to something,
No.
and you have to fight them.
Well, let's talk about that. How of course a virus is a bad thing for a computer.
Yes,
So that's the enemy of the show.
makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
And in the game, we see him infect the user,
Yeah.
quote unquote user.
Yeah, so the game gets corrupted by a
and he
virus.
takes over
He takes
Right.
over the user.
the user.
I think that's the only time he does that. I could be wrong. Anyway.
So they go into a game and it's a space game. So JR mentioned it could be a reference to
Wing Commander.
Wing Commander, but it's space shooter. So
This could be anything. Could be
Which
just
they
a
were-
generic space shooter.
A little bit of asteroids in there.
yeah, Dot makes reference to asteroids. So obviously that's just I guess-
A few nods.
back in the 90s. Yeah, a lot of space simulators or space type games would be popular. Oh yes, in my notes here I wrote down that they started playing a new game called No Man's Sky, which just came out there in July
You say it was
or
just
August.
as bland as the actual game?
Just as bland as the actual game. We won't get into that. Bob comes up with his famous phrase, "Stay frosty," which is something I guess one of the few memorable catchphrases from the show.
Yeah.
So, like Howard said, Megabyte infects the user and becomes the user with intentions of taking over the Tear, because now the Tear is inside the game. The Tear offers a portal to the supercomputer.
How convenient.
Perfect plot to the first episode.
Yeah.
So everyone reboots into their AI
Yep.
and chase down Megabyte. I mean, for a 94 3D show, I mean, the graphics was pretty out there for a space game, like the asteroids and the ships and stuff.
You could tell they put a lot of effort into it. They put a lot of heart into the show.
Yeah, really expensive apparently. $1 million pilot.
Wow.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Are you kidding me?
No, it was.
Expensive
They-
technology.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, yeah, first CGI show ever. They originally wanted 500,000, and when they got to that act, when they started going to the game, they needed another 500,000 to finish it.
I remember.
So what was their? Oops.
I remember back when the show first came out, and I remember hearing from either an interview with one of the creators or something. It was on YTV at the time, and I remember them talking about how an episode gets created, and I distinctly remember back then it took them a week, or it took like a really significant amount of time to do anything, to move any of the characters. Like to get Enzo to move his arms one way and back would take hours to get that done, and nowadays it would take seconds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think I heard they literally used to submit the week's episode a day before.
yeah,
They were constantly, and while the shows are being made, technology is getting cheaper
yeah.
as the years went on. Like CGI was getting cheaper and cheaper to make. So he said you'll notice a significant difference from the first episode to the last. Right?
Yeah.
Because 3D
Okay.
animation was so far ahead, and 3 years later, right? So they catch up to Megabyte. Bob does a reverse on him, front seat, back seat.
Yeah,
Shoots him.
Megabyte does it to him. Then
Yeah.
Bob quickly does it back to Megabyte. Shoots down Megabyte's plane. You know. I
Yeah.
found it funny because not once does anybody try to maneuver out of the
Yeah.
way.
They're all on a straight
It's
line.
like I shot Megabyte. Oh, now he's on my jet.
And then he
could've
falls
moved
back
that.
and catches onto Bob's plane. Tells him he could have been a great partner if they had stayed together. And Bob says he'd rather be erased or deleted.
Such a badass.
Another computer term.
Yep.
Instead of "I'd rather die," it would be. That wouldn't be
So they get down to the
appropriate.
tier, and just before Megabyte can get inside, Bob stabilizes it and removes it from the game. And that was pretty much it for that game. So Megabyte, the game is over. They win, obviously, because they shot down Megabyte's plane before he got to the tier. And we see Megabyte about to attack them, but Bob has a hidden command file who hides both of them.
It makes it look like the tier disappeared entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And including himself and Dot also disappeared.
Megabyte talks to nobody and says they must be back to the diner.
Which is true because there was literally no one
No one
else
else
there
there.
except for Megabyte. Just talking to
Yeah,
himself.
he's like, they're gone. They must be back to the diner.
And then Bob goes, hidden command files, gotta love them.
Yeah.
To which he made a joke. I was like, oh, Megabyte's still in the room. Just shut up. Stop
I
talking.
don't think he walks that fast.
Yeah.
You just had to be coy, didn't you?
So the final scene is back at the diner where Enzo informs them that Hack and Slash trashed it yet again, off screen. He says something like,
That budget.
it's weird when he says, as soon as Mega Breath, I guess that's what he calls Megabyte, noticed that you guys weren't here at the diner, he decided to give up and go home. I'm like,
Once again, that's what I'm saying. This big villain who's a giant virus, who's got big plans,
Yeah.
just takes all his anger and frustration out on a little old diner.
He could have killed Enzo.
Yeah, he could.
yeah.
Very easily.
He's like, as soon
He
as
should have
Megabyte
by rights because it's
and
Enzo.
his crone, well, I guess he said Hack and Slash. As soon as they realized you guys weren't here, so they just went home.
He should have. He could have killed someone.
He could have killed
Yeah.
Enzo.
I'm sick of this. And
Yeah.
just stands
Or the
over.
owner there, that French-speaking.
Oh, Cecil.
Oh yeah,
Cecil, yeah.
we did meet him in earlier, but they don't say his name there. But on him, on the actual character itself, it says
Cecil.
Cecil or Cecil.
The foreign stereotype comic relief character.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's modeled after a early Mac computer.
Yeah, you can tell.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
When he's
Yeah.
situated.
His
Yeah.
Reboot logo has like the shimmer of like the old Apple computers.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Ah.
And some trivia to go along with apparently Cecil is named after a strip club in Vancouver, British
Awesome.
Columbia.
That's fine.
Hence why they gave the character a brass rail to hang from.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was the episode. So they end off with Enzo asking Bob what the supercomputer is like.
Yeah.
And Bob says it's big, full of RAM, and you can explore anything.
Computer terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we hit credits. So for a pilot episode for a '94 show, I think it held up pretty well.
It looked great still.
Yeah.
I tried to watch the mouth movements, and they were pretty spot on for like the voice acting. What do you guys think?
Well, once again, like I said before, I don't try to base most shows off this, but some of the graphics, well, I don't consider them bad. I just found them really stiff. Like, when,
Yeah,
like
well,
for example,
that's-
Bob's hanging from glitch and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know he's just dangling, but at the same time, it just seems so.
Yeah, like super straight.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff I didn't like. However, with that being said, the graphics weren't terrible.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to you being older than us. You would notice stuff like that before we would as kids,
Yeah,
and that's why we love the show.
yeah, but unnecessarily nitpicking, I guess, is one also putting it there too.
For sure. Blake, Howard?
I could watch that show over and over and over again. I love it every time. I just wanted to go through how they wanted to hammer home that they are in a computer and the men of computer terms. This is just a little quote that Enzo makes after Megabyte trashes the
And survives the ordeal.
again.
Dot Steiner.
Like he trashes the diner the first time, and Enzo jumps on Bob, says, "We tried to quit him. We tried to quit file him, dude, but it was seriously default. A major surge of goons showed up at the diner and started to completely offline the place. I mean, jack out / delete crash log off." And then Dot interrupts him.
Computer gibberish galore, right?
Exactly.
Backslash.
So if the kids don't figure it out by then,
Yeah.
there's no point.
Ah, computers, of course.
Yes. Oh, I thought they were in a forest.
Hey, Mom. where's Mainframe?
Downtown, son.
Yeah.
It's real.
I think that's in Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into some trivia here according to the wiki. Some of this is really good. I don't know where they got all this information, but it's really good. Did you guys know this was the first episode of Reboot?
What? That was the second last.
The 8-ball outside Bob's apartment rotates like a Union 76 ball. Now, I'm
What
not
is a
sure what a
Union?
Union 76
Yeah.
ball is.
At least I
Tune in
know.
next week. We
Questions,
learn what a
lead to
Union
questions.
76
Yeah.
ball is.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Union 76 is a gas station in the United States, so I guess they must have a rotating.
I guess us
Okay.
Canadians wouldn't be able to know that.
No. Silly Canadian.
Blake mentioned while we were watching the episode, Bob has a picture on his wall of the supercomputer saying "Home Sweet Home."
That's pretty good.
Bob's alarm clock is set for 8:08, which coincidentally spells out Bob. According to Gavin Blair, one of the creators,
I met him, by the way. Continue.
Nice.
like I said earlier, Cecil was the name of a strip club. That's where he got the idea for being hanging from a bar. Cecil is modeled after an '84 Macintosh computer. The game that Bob and Fong play is the Atari arcade game Pong. I mentioned that earlier.
And they make it look like it's so much fun. When I used to watch the show
Yeah.
and seeing them actually doing it with their
Yeah.
body motions, like, I can get behind that.
The Viral Battleship, I guess that's the
flying
game,
tank
Like
things?
tank things, I guess.
is an altered Xeon Musa from Mobile Suit Gundam.
Oh, that could be the big battleship that they do like they see in the
Oh,
game
cool.
when all the guns start coming out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a cool throwback.
Nice.
When Dot blows up the battleship, For a single frame, you can clearly see an X-ray of her face. Yeah, I noticed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a sign on a truck that says 2 small sprites with big CPUs transfer incorporated, which refers to 2 small men with big hearts moving
Big
company
Hearts Moving Company, yeah.
of Vancouver, Canada.
I think I've heard of that company.
Fong
Fascinating.
speaks of the command.com, a reference to the processor from Microsoft MS-DOS, the program that outputs well known as C:// greater than prompt
That brings
when you
back
start
memories.
programs. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Fong mentions there's an old README file we mentioned earlier from the ancient Chinese War Book of Tactics, where it says, "Keep your friends close and your enemies even closer."
So he's Chinese.
Yeah.
It must be.
Yeah.
He quotes Chinese. He has a foreign accent. In the space race game, Bob commands the fleet, saying, "Alpha Wing, clear of dock. Proceed heading 1138, stay frosty." This is a reference to the THX 1138 by George Lucas. Now, what is the THS 1138?
A ship or something, or a jet.
The creators were straight up nerds.
It's a film by
never
George
mind.
Lucas, 1971.
Shows how much I know.
So he might say "Stay Frosty" in that. That's where he got the.
The origin, maybe.
This is the only season opener where hexadecimal does not appear. She's introduced in the next episode. The only episode without
Oh,
her.
very good.
So every episode from that point on has at least heard some shape or form?
Well, it's probably just talking about the intro.
Yeah.
Where Bob
Yeah.
talks over.
Oh, the, yes, I see.
Yeah,
Oh.
she would not be introduced until the
I
next
didn't
episode.
realize that.
Now, I enjoyed her as a villain. I liked her much
Yeah.
better than Megabyte, personally.
Yep. And what I heard on the commentary last night, it says here, the DVD commentary for the mainframe edition, it mentions the tiering went over budget by $500,000 due to the ongoing budget issues, as nobody knew how much the show would cost. In the early days of producing Reboot, the staff were paid in $100 bills that a producer had to borrow from another company.
Wow.
That's weird.
Yeah, he mentions that he worked on a few movies, and when he got paid for those movies, he brought the money, because he used to get paid cash, he brought the money directly from that to Mainframe Studios, whatever they had, what they were called,
Yeah.
and pay the writers and producers and the creators there in cash, so they'd stay on board to keep the show going.
Kind of blows my mind, though, because back in, nowadays, if a show had to go way over budget like that, it probably wouldn't even survive
Yeah, it just. Yeah.
a series run, right?
That's right.
Well, the show Lost, you remember that show?
Yeah.
The person who created that went over budget, and the first pilot cost $1 million to shoot.
Okay.
And that person got fired, and they released the pilot, and it did so well,
That the show kept going.
the show kept going, and they still fired that guy, whoever made that mistake,
Wow.
over budgeting.
Well, it's a good thing that didn't happen to Reboot, I guess.
No, and they kept him on. I think ABC, or who they sold it to, was just astounded by the computer-generated graphics, right?
Groundbreaking for its
Yeah,
time.
exactly. That was the end of that. That's all the references. Anyone got anything about the first episode of The Tearing?
Just like all the little references in the background through like computer terms, stuff that like you would never
Yes.
pick up on unless you were like watching it for the sole purpose of that.
Yeah, we noticed the DC's power bar.
yeah.
Back then, I'm not sure if it was ever on VHS or not, but you didn't have very many opportunities to rewatch episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
You had to wait for the seasons.
Reruns.
That's right.
Yeah.
For the seasons to start over again, which happened a lot.
On YTV.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another podcast. But I mean, like you were talking about, they went over budget, but they still wanted to keep going with it.
Yeah,
They had, I guess, they had a vision for it. They wanted,
they were
wanted-
super passionate. I
Yep.
guess they really wanted to get this show off the ground.
and I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, it definitely turned into one of my favorite shows of all time.
For sure.
Especially where it originated in Canada. I guess it kind of. I didn't even know it was Canadian until many years later.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Sense of pride, I guess.
Yeah.
for sure. Well, that's episode 1. Join us next time. What's the second one called?
Race the Clock.
Race the Clock.
Racing.
We get. I believe it's race something. It's a race oriented. They play Mario Kart.
On steroids.
So
Not the Mad Max episode, is it?
No,
No,
that's a
further.
classic.
We'll get to that.
That's one of the best episodes ever, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second episode where we introduced even more characters. And we, Hexadecimal obviously gets brought onto the show. But anyway, for Geoff, JR, Blake, Howard, and Jeremy, thank you for listening. For our first inaugural episode of Good Morning Mainframe.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Mainframe!
See you later, guys.
They say the user lives outside the net and inputs games for pleasure. No one knows for sure, but I intend to find out. Reboot!